Oh yeah, okay, so
As in navigating the board?
yeah. So what we did was any kind of movement with the player was all handled by one script. So that had control of everything. Anytime you wanted to meet the player, you had to go through that script. And at first, they kind of all, oh, move this guy over here, just whatever. And then I, went through and said, draw it out. Use this. And which is, it makes for really easy design. Just if you see something stupid happen in the movement, I know exactly what that is. Not to go look through hundreds of lines of code, but like application.quit or somewhere, Anyway, so one of the nice things about Unity, I mentioned earlier, to do so many things for you, is they have the nav mesh, where you can kind of tell Unity what your level is and what's walkable, what's not walkable. And for like player control characters, it's not so great, but for enemies, it's really awesome because you just tell them to go somewhere and they, they'll figure it out. And that was another thing that we did really quickly and got that out of the way. And it was a huge step forward. We could move people, the characters, and have them move through the scene, in some kind of complicated.
Yeah, you're into the wall.
Yeah.
Get that scene.
That's not walkable.
Thanks for the nav.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go up.
Yeah, it's.
Go on.
This is a good example of. You can't see it, but like there's certain areas like around here that you can't walk on, and if you kind of runs into it, you get stuttered and stuck because, and for this scene in particular, any really complicated scene, it gets really difficult to get a good, like layout for everything because, once you start adding torches and trees everywhere, it gets really slow and really inaccurate when you start making the mesh, for your characters to walk on. So it looks ridiculous, but the scene that I ended up giving everyone had a bunch of big white boxes and speeders everywhere. It looked ridiculous, and that was like kind of how I sectioned it off. And I think it's a chest line.
There it is. That's not gonna work. Yeah, it's not gonna work. It's opening it. Yeah. I think I'll mention something about you talk about the compartmentalization of throwing everything into like movement. All the actions that you're saying are all finite state machines. We have 4 really big ones that are all intertwined, talking to each other really nicely. And I really love that we stuck that design pattern really early on. Like the movement FSM, move finite state machine. Literally everything you have to do with movement happens in that section of the code. With combat, literally everything happens in the combat. So if you want to figure out, is this guy in combat? Is this guy dead? You just ask FSM, hey, is he dead? And they'll answer, yeah, he's dead. Or with the artificial intelligence finite state machines, you can tell at any point what state he's in. What is he doing right now? That's really cool, and it's really good to stick to that if you can. Yeah. Let's see. You want to talk about stats?
So for more as to the gameplay side of things, since this is a Diablo clone, basically it runs off of an RPG system, and what we did is we used actually what I did was I came up with a stat 4-stat system, I think. 6-stat system. Where we have health, you have a resource, mana, basically, power, defense, attack speed, and movement speed. And the FSMs are especially, because that has to correlate for the enemies, especially with their a lot of them have slow swings on their weapons. We had to talk to that in order to really to stat them. One thing that's pretty cool is that every thing, the player, the enemies, they have the same stats, and they kind of like in a Dungeons and Dragons type system where everything has the same stats, and you compare them against each other to see how much damage or if they're still alive. The player gains stats as level up, which you've hit a few levels already. But you can the player gains stats as they level up, and they can choose which stats to increase or decrease. And enemies also scale with the player's level, and they gain stats as they level up. So it ends up being a kind of standoff. That movement speed's going to go crazy.
And it will. We can get through that dungeon in no time.
There's only there.
There's only there now.
I thought that was supposed to scale point one.
Nope. Let's go up.
Up.
Okay. But yeah, you can kind of exploit the stat system. You can see. Let me see. I think that's one of the big things. And one of the things that had to take into account for the enemy generation was scaling with the level, with appropriate not only stat blocks for them to start, but appropriate stat scaling as the player levels up and gets more powerful. How they're basically we wanted to keep the time it took to kill an enemy reasonably consistent. So that was interesting and a pretty big deal of number crunching on that, which kind of all goes crazy whenever you have like 1 billion attack speed and a whole bunch of spells. Let's see. Want to talk about the ability system?
Yeah. Okay, so I think I mentioned this before, but all the abilities that you're seeing right now, and there's a few more on the player, on the enemies. A lot of these abilities, when we originally thought these up, we pretty much figure out that most abilities in most games are going to be, or most games like this, are going to be all pretty similar. There's your abilities where you can have a single melee attack, or a conal attack, or AoE attack around you, or a target attack. And so what we did when we were building our abilities, like, hey, we have these 4 classes of abilities. We can also have abilities that are just combinations of all these abilities happening at the same time. And so when we built the ability system, we focus on modularity and a lot of polymorphisms to make sure that, like, we can have a firewall that goes to one guy and bounces 3 times and explodes. And that's pretty easy to do. So when we would make, like, when we built the projectile system, we figured out that, okay, well, that gives us the ability to have like 15 new abilities. So that was really a really good design standpoint and tactic was keeping those systems modular and very object-oriented. Next we can talk about randomization for items and enemies.
So the item generation, actually, I spent a good deal of time on this as well. Basically, even though we're not getting much loot, it seems that people are not being generous with their drops right now.
Yeah, okay.
He's a static chest. But so the items generate. They have base items which have certain stats, and then you can get modifiers for them. Which if you pull up the inventory, I believe you have
I have several.
Where they'll have a base item and they have a prefix or a suffix or a prefix and a suffix, which modifies the stats of the item. And you come up with it comes up with some pretty interesting names. you're seeing, oh,
Oh, you're full.
Oh,
I guess.
Alright, so at the end of every dungeon, there's a boss, and it's a boss.
Very.
You
Check it out, Bobby.
Well, at least you can cut it.
quickly. My favorite was when we were originally doing this. My favorite bug was of the owl slippers, of the bear, of the owl, of like the swither. That was really fun.
Um,
Wow.
let's see, I think we already touched on random enemy generation. Maybe Alex wants to talk about the dungeon generation.
Yeah, it's a dungeon. Good.
Hey everybody, my name is Alex Richard. I've kind of played Teacher's Aid this semester with the Game Design 2 class. The bulk of what I've been doing is just debugging work, helping with fixing technical issues in Unity. It's a great tool, but unfortunately they make a lot of assumptions, and some of them are a lot less intuitive than we'd like. So, but whenever they were working on this idea, one of the things they definitely wanted was a random dungeon generator. And because this project was on such a large scale, I decided to help them out, and I created a base dungeon generator for them to build on. And it's a weighted carving algorithm. It starts at a central room, and then it just kind of randomly picks which direction you can build the dungeon from whatever room you're in. And it keeps track of all of the different walls in the dungeon that you can knock down to expand in other rooms. And then to give a little more flexibility in it, it has some built-in limits that determine if I have this many rooms currently at this point in the dungeon, what are the odds that I'm going to place another room there? And so you can get a dungeon that's just a giant